Very warm welcome to Mining Review Africa's Future Leader series. And today I'm speaking to Simone Naicker, who's a senior metallurgical engineer at Exxaro. Simone, thank you for joining us today. But let's start at the very beginning. Why did you decide to choose a career in mining?
Mm. I think it's a great question. And, when I tell people what I've studied, usually they say, oh, you're a smart one. And sometimes I answer, maybe it would have been smart not to. So I do understand where the question comes from. So in high school, I had an affinity for math and science. And I think that's where, you start considering the STEM field. And I was fortunate enough to be growing up in a town that was industrial. So I grew up in the Richards Bay area. So very industrial setup. Most people wore PPE. You kind of exposed to the environment. And so a career in the STEM fields felt almost natural. And I was fortunate enough to get a bursary to pay for my studies. So if your studies are getting paid for, I think it's quite an easy answer to say yes. So I think two things. It would be the environment and then the opportunities for funding.
Okay, now you've touched on environment, but what drives you to come to work every day?
Yeah, so I think people, I like saying that I'm a people engineer. I think part of what I do is to make decisions based on facts and figures. But what we do is we do all that analysis in order to change and drive behavior. And for me, that's exciting. So being able to influence the behavior of people and teams, and just now, especially being appointed in a new role where I manage a team of professionals, it's been exciting and rewarding for me to help them develop and improve. So very much it's for the people.
Okay. Now, Simone, being a young woman in the mining sector does come with its challenges. What are some of the challenges that you have faced in your career thus far, and how have you managed to overcome them?
Mm. I'll maybe mention two challenges. So the one, I recall being on vacation work at one of the mines, and the gentleman in the control room said to me, what are you doing here? You should be at home making babies. I thought to myself, oh my goodness. It's like, is this the environment you're going to end up working in? And, at that time you're a student. So, your vacation work really shapes what you think about the industry you're going into. And fortunately, I've been blessed with a great sense of humor. And so I responded to him that, well, if that stereotype holds, he should be on the couch with a beer. So I think it's sometimes we should take ourselves a little less seriously. The environment is challenging. And I think when we respond defensively, we almost prove to people that we don't belong. If we can respond in a way that's neutral or even still push us forward the point that we belong and we're here, that's great. But I think the defensive nature of women in the mining industry that's become prevalent actually makes us, let's call it, less welcome and not so nice to be around. And not to say that women always need to be nice, but respect and just basic and human interaction is always important. I think a second thing that I'll mention that's difficult is, I've always been a person who always just, gives your best. And as a result, a number of opportunities have arisen. And I think one can begin to question whether those opportunities are there because of your demographic and your gender, or if it's because it's genuinely by merit and because you deserve it. And I find that a lot of women in the industry are battling this insecurity because we would know that we're competent, but I think it's also convincing not only ourselves, but the teams that we lead as well. So because of the drive for women in mining, it can bring about a little bit of insecurity around competency, actually.
Right, Simone, you've touched on a very interesting topic about women in mining and the challenges that you have faced and the challenges that women still face in the mining sector. But in your view, have there been is there any improvement in the way that women in mining are regarded at the moment?
So I would say there's a lot more space and room. And I mean, the fact that we're having this discussion today, I think in a previous life or in a previous situation, there would be a very particular demographic that has their voice heard. and predominantly in the mining industry wasn't women. So the opportunity even now just to have a chat with you and to speak on the topic is an example, I think, in itself. Within the industry, what I can share is that there are forums, women in mining dialogues, places where we discuss this. Where I would provide some caution is that predominantly it's women invited to these sessions, and I do feel as
Yeah.
some of my male colleagues feeling a little bit like, yes, women in mining, but is there still space for me? You can get that emotion and that feeling coming up. So I think what's important with the women in mining dialogues is actually to include men in the conversation, because for me, the institutional knowledge within mining is male. And I'm not afraid to understand and say that, because we need to learn from our male colleagues. They've been doing this for years. And to just come in a novice and claim, to have the same level of experience would be naive and very dangerous for an industry that upholds, our energy supply, our GDP. I mean, mining has a
Yeah.
massive, massive impact there. So
Yeah.
I think we must be cautious and respectful whilst acknowledging that we deserve to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's move on, Simone. And you've got your own personal brand. My tiara is a hard hat. Tell us a little about that, please.
Yeah, it was actually a little bit of an exciting, slightly reflective moment when I came up with it, and it wasn't instantaneous. So I grew up a normal kid. You look at the beautiful pageant women, like your Zorzies, your at the time I think an Indian one lady won, Krishni Naicker. She even had the same surname as me at the
Yes.
time, and you look at these women and like, oh my goodness, they're gorgeous, they're so beautiful, and this is what a woman should be. And I entered a few pageants and I played around in that space a little bit. And what I realized is, that feeling of validation that I was looking for, or that feeling of acknowledgement, like, well done, Simone, you get to hold the pretty flowers and wear the crown. What I realized is actually when I put on my dirty hard hat that's in the boot of my car, that that hard hat is actually my tiara and I wear it every day. And it was like a really meaningful moment for me, because I had replaced this ideal I had in my mind with the reality. And that was, yeah, it was really a reflective moment. And I wrote it down on a scribbled, scrunched up piece of paper somewhere. And I mean, it went from that to being very much who and what I stand for. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. Simone, moving away from working on the mines, what interest do you have outside of work hours?
Yeah, so I have a bunny and I have a puppy, and they get along. So I love them to bits. So I really enjoy that, and I enjoy cooking as well. So when you live in a mining town, okay, so I'm bringing mining back a little bit, but when you live in a mining town, you don't have five-star restaurants to go to, or fancy places. So cooking has become a massive part of what I do, and my friends and I, we get together on a Tuesday every week, deliberately midweek, and we cook a meal from somewhere in the world. So we've made dim sum, we've made beef bourguignon, we've done, like, created all different kinds of things in our little mining town, and just made it really exciting for ourselves. So I enjoy cooking, I enjoy spending time with the family, and yeah, coaching and mentoring is something I also enjoy doing. So I find a lot of the younger, especially the women in the industry, come to me and say, I'm struggling, I'm not coping, how are we doing this? And yeah, I can just reassure them to say that nobody has it all figured out, not even me. So we're all just really trying. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Simone, you mentioned what you do outside of work. Talk to me about the importance of ensuring a good work-life balance.
Mm. Oh my goodness, it's so important. Mental health is real. Mental health is
Yeah,
as real as physical health these days.
yeah,
I've had instances at work where, I've had colleagues who you can see that they're just not okay. And when people are not well, mentally or physically, and they're engaging with dangerous mining equipment, immediately we talk about safety, right? So I think in the workplace, health is a lot more than just physical, and taking care of our mental health is incredibly important. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
One final question, Simone.
Yeah.
What advice, and particularly to young women, would you give to young people that are interested in joining the mining sector?
Mm. I would say, young people out there, that mining is for everyone. And if it's not grown, it's mine. You've heard that saying
Yep.
somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
you pick up your phone, you pick up a tablet, you pick up AirPods, whatever it is that you touch. Mining is real and it's already part of your life. So if you decide to join this industry, you're essentially just joining the value chain in the process. There's space for women in the mining industry. What I would say is come in, be yourself, be authentic, and don't leave yourself at the door. Something I always have to tell people that I coach is that, we want all of you. You don't have to leave certain parts of you outside of the mine. Bring it in, make a change. Use those natural abilities to develop relationships, improve processes. There's so much we can do, and our strengths will complement one another. So yeah, don't be afraid.
Great stuff. Simone Naicker, Senior Metallurgical Engineer at Exxaro. Thank you for joining us today and good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you.